Hey guys, welcome back to Tough Love with Dr. John O'Connor. Today we're going to talk about summer bodies. So I made a decision to, based on the results I got with the fitness show that I recently won for my age group, to take a little time as far as working on the diet and, kind of let my body rest a little bit, and get right back at it and go for, the next level of fitness. But the one thing that I really know that the dial in on is the nutrition component. And I think all of us out there struggle with the daunting task that it's going to be so long to make food. And this podcast is more about kind of a prelude to what's coming. What I'm going to try to do is show my audience how easy it is to make, healthy meal options fast so that you can, be on the go, hit your caloric intake, grab the proteins you need to go, and make sure you're hydrating and doing all these things to achieve the fitness goals you want to. One of the biggest things that I reflect on over the last probably 5 years, from 45 to 50, and in next month I'll be 51, is the importance of self-assessment. And what does that mean? For me, I look at, I bring a food bag with me, a Yeti cooler with me every day, and I have 4 meals of the 6 I'm going to eat that day. Now, right now, I'm not in, a show in 2 weeks or 4 weeks, so I can be a little bit more lenient. If I'm hungry, I eat. I'll have another meal. I had a meal in there. I'm not racing for anything. I'm not going to starve myself or deprive myself of calories right now because, quite frankly, the one thing that, I would say, full disclosure, and I think all my fitness heads that have done these shows, you are beat the bleep up after these shows. And, I am cranking vitamins. I'm thankful that we own a anti-aging and longevity business because I am pumping the BPC 157, the TB 500, NAD plus. I'm back on my regular dose of, regular TRT and, just really, just normalizing everything. And I feel good. I'm sleeping better and, I'm not as beat up. Everything isn't, spinning 1,000 miles an hour. But when it comes to the meals and the activity, I think the big thing is that we have to, as individuals, create a daily challenge, right? And I know for me, that competition was the first time in 5 years that I was able to go be in the hunt and compete and really feel good about how hard I worked and how I took my body from, broken to, the best in my age class. And again, the one thing when people say you have time, you don't have time, I'm sick of excuses, right? I launched 3 businesses. I had practices going around the country being coached. I think the results that they got were pretty excellent. Again, if, for some, better than others, but I also think much like anything else is you get what you put in. So, the bottom line is if you put in great effort, you get great results. If you don't put in great effort, you don't get great results. Simple as that. And where I'm at right now is now I'm starting to really study the different foods that I can eat and how that reflects my energy and how I feel. And even the fact that I would say, alcohol for, anybody that knows me that lives local, this podcast bounces all over the place. I would be a pretty regular drinker, go to my buddies, have a couple drinks, have a beer, do this, do that. And honestly, I don't crave it. I don't miss it. I had a couple drinks the other day and I was like, okay, I'm going to do that again. And, to me, that was a huge accomplishment, because if you said that to me, a couple of years ago, I would have laughed. I would have laughed at the person that I am now. And it almost made me feel like the Wolverine movie, when there were all the different versions of Wolverine. And, it's amazing when you evolve and change what opportunities can come. And I have to tell you, for all of us out there looking for a reason, I've always been an extremist, right? So I chose, because of the last couple of years and, situations and people you're around and what you're doing, to pursue, something that I felt I wouldn't get hurt. Overall, it was great for my body. I was building strength. I was building discipline, and I was learning how to eat, a way that would shape my body and, and get me to where I wanted to go. And again, what's up, buddy? We got Zeus on the podcast today, guys. He's having fun. He's all over this place, having Olympics in the room right now, but you guys aren't seeing him. I think he's going to get athletic in a second. So, but back to the podcast. The one thing that I would say is that once you get to this point, and the one thing that I love using social media for is looking at people that are 40, looking at people that are my age as peers at 50, and then looking at fitness at 60 and 70, and still seeing amazing people out there that are crushing it and still active and still doing stuff. And again, for me, I'm an outdoorsman. I love to hunt. I love to be outside. I love to do physical labor. And this pathway is giving me strength and endurance that I haven't had in quite a long time. And I think that for everyone, the takeaway there is eat well, train hard, get strong, build confidence. Confidence is a drug unto itself, right? I mean, when you are confident, it is amazing how you feel entering a room. It's amazing how you communicate and the level of respect you gain by when people are talking to you, about discipline, everything like that. In the last 3 or 4 weeks, I was in, Philly at a beautiful hotel, Four Seasons, at a business event, and, ordering, food cooked a certain way, and hearing, random strangers compliment the discipline and no alcohol and no dessert. And when that becomes what you are, I had a great time that night. I didn't even think of it as like they're complimenting me, and it almost felt like, I was different. And to me, that's my normal. And, that's the other thing too, is don't be surprised if you're made to be, as an outsider, because, like something I learned years ago when I was in the nightclub business, if you don't party and you're around people that party, they tend to give you a weird look because they're feeling a little odd that you're staring at them while they're partying their faces off. Well, people eating and drinking and doing stuff, if you're in a group of people that are a little bit judgmental or a little insecure, you're going to see that they're going to react to you a little bit differently. And not to say change your circles and they're not your people, but just be mindful of that. One of the big things with this podcast, I want to nail on is the rest of the summer will be all guests and powerful conversations about transformation. Brian from Astroflave, people that have innovated and started gyms, fitness influencers, and, clothing brands and fitness equipment, and people that are in the space and their roles and their why. And I think when I put that picture together, I think that everybody has to have it. And, again, the one thing that I realized is, and especially when I lost it, is your greatest asset, your greatest, most valuable item you possess is your health and your body. And when you lose them, it is amazing how that's the only thing you think about. And, so again, today is about, saying, hey, look in the mirror. Are you happy with where you're at? Are you working hard? Are you working as hard in the kitchen and what you're putting in your mouth as you are at the gym? And when you put those things together, it is amazing the transformative process that occurs. And you know what? I'm here to help. That's one of the things that I'm definitely going to be doing. I'm getting back to it. I was a little lazy and a little distracted, about putting like food times, temperatures, and different things I'm learning. I'm putting a ton of money into my fitness pursuit with Coach Kyle and the amazing trainers between Rich Tuma and Patrice and her people. And quite frankly, I'm blessed, and I'm actually excited with the relationship that I'm going to be creating with Brian from Jersey Shore Supplements and Astroflave. And this is a little shout out early because he doesn't know it's coming, but like I want to be taking full products and supplements and and recommending to people, hey, this is what I take. And again, no commitment. I don't care so much about the money. I care about the transformation. Right? To me, you can always make money, but helping people, that's invaluable. That's priceless, and that's one thing that I could always say about my clinical practice. There's so many thousands of people that we helped. And I always love the person that runs up and said, man, I blew my back out 14 years ago and I never had to see you again because you fixed it. And I will say nutrition doesn't work that way. You have to fix yourself every day. But the long-term rewards are just fantastic health. And, I'll tell you an emotional part, a heartfelt part here is, my mom's in the hospital right now battling, anemia. Her white blood cell count is smashed. I mean, she's getting over her second round of chemo and, she's in a battle right now. And, her nutritional choices, have always been, that of like a happy Italian person, you eat, and, right now with the, with the white blood cells count, she has all kinds of irritations and rashes in her mouth and she can't really eat. But the thing is when you hear the medical staff, it's not eating, it's the nutrients and the vitamins and the hydration that needs to occur. And, so many of the amazing influencers and really, people of knowledge and thoughtfulness that put great content out there, it's the truth. It's you taking care of yourself in your 30s and 40s and 50s so that your 60s, 70s, and 80s are easier, right? And it is so true, guys. So if I could tell you anything, right? Work hard now so you can live easy later. Be lazy now and prepare to live hard later. And you pick, right? It's your choice. So all I can say is, I pray for my mom every day and, I love her to death. I made a post today about her health and just praying for her to turn the corner. She's about to go to a rehab center, which should probably be there for a couple of weeks because she's struggling with her walking and stuff. And I have to tell you, to me, I wish that I was inspired to eat and move like this in my early 40s, so I could have been a better son as far as being a pain in the ass and just being that annoying person like, hey, let's do better. Let's eat better. Let's make better choices. So now to my audience, to the community that I deal with, just that's my goal here is just to help people and just be a better person. And, there's something to be said about giving for the sake of helping someone and not asking for anything in return. So I'm going to say that one more time, giving and helping someone and having no expectation of a reward or anything else other than doing it just because, it's the right thing to do. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Make better choices in the kitchen. Stay tuned for what we're posting on our stories and our reels. My film team is going to be amazing, and the stuff that I post on myself as far as sharing how I eat, what I eat, just for, long-term lifestyle, optimization tips and pointers and stuff that may help you. Hope it helps you and hope you like it. So thank you for joining us today. Again, we only grow by follows and likes. Please follow us on all our platforms. And thank you for joining. And again, God bless. We'll see you again soon.